Ranveer Singh had arrived at the Taj Mahal that morning expecting nothing more than a quiet shoot for a heritage tourism ad campaign. His usual electric energy barely contained beneath designer shades and a bright pink kurta that shimmered in the sunlight. But as he struck his usual flamboyant poses against the backdrop of marble grandeur, a strange current began to hum through the air, subtle at first, like a frequency only the bones could feel, until the breeze shifted, unnaturally warm and heavy with something ancient, something watching. The crowds around him seemed to thin inexplicably, tourists trickling away without protest, while the ever-present security faded into the distance, their radios silent, their voices lost. Suddenly, from the shadows cast by one of the minarets, 3 figures emerged, cloaked in saffron robes so aged they looked like they'd been soaked in centuries of sun and silence, gliding more than walking, their faces hidden beneath hoods that revealed only silver beards and weathered hands. Ranveer blinked, momentarily unsure if this was some elaborate prank, another surreal layer of Bollywood absurdity layered over reality, but the gravity in their eyes when they finally spoke his name, his real name, in a tongue older than Sanskrit, stopped every thought in his mind. A sudden pressure weighed down his chest, not painful but heavy with meaning, and somewhere inside him, a dormant string seemed to resonate, a memory that wasn't his or maybe had always been. His assistant, Juhi, usually sarcastic and unshakably grounded, stood frozen beside him, her phone slowly slipping from her fingers as one of the monks extended a scroll etched with pulsating golden glyphs, the language dancing in the light, not read but absorbed. Ranveer laughed, at first, the kind of wild, nervous laugh that echoed too loud in the stillness, his instinctive charisma trying to deflect the crack in reality unfolding before him, but his voice died in his throat as one of the monks reached out and touched his forehead, not roughly, not softly, just deliberately, and suddenly he saw it. The portal, a swirling lattice of energy hidden deep beneath the Taj, sealed for over a millennium, guarded not by chains or locks but by ancient will, duty passed down from soul to soul, now awakening in him. The ground beneath his feet seemed to pulse, not shaking but breathing, and as he stumbled back, the enormity of it all hit him. He was being chosen, not cast in a role, but called to something far older than fame, older than history itself. Juhi, regaining her voice, whispered harshly, asking if this was some method acting exercise gone too far, but even she could see the shift in him, the quiet seriousness behind his normally chaotic eyes. Around them, the Taj looked unchanged, still majestic, still luminous, but the light seemed different now, filtered through some hidden layer of meaning, and the silence carried the weight of secrets too old to speak aloud. Ranveer, ever the showman, felt the stirrings of something deeper inside him, something braver, wilder, more ancient than his own laughter. And though part of him wanted to run, to shake it off as a dream, he knew something had just begun, something that would not let him go. The monks said nothing more, only turned and walked toward the base of the monument, the shadows swallowing them one by one, and without quite understanding why, Ranveer followed, with Juhi trailing behind, equal parts terrified and loyal, the marble under their feet no longer just stone but the lid of a mystery that had waited centuries for him to arrive. Ranveer couldn't shake the feeling that everything around him had shifted, the world subtly bending, like the edge of a dream that teeters on the edge of waking. As he and Juhi stood at the base of the Taj Mahal, the monks had vanished into the folds of history, leaving them alone with nothing but the feeling that they were on the cusp of something enormous, something impossible to ignore. Juhi, now visibly shaken, demanded answers, her rationality fighting against the pull of this surreal reality, but Ranveer felt an unfamiliar calm settle over him. He wasn't sure why, but he felt chosen, not just for a role, not for the fame he had always sought, but for something much larger than himself. The monk's cryptic words echoed in his mind, the notion of guarding a portal, a gateway of unimaginable power hidden beneath this wonder of the world. He knew they couldn't walk away now. The portal was no longer just a mystical concept, it was a living, breathing part of their reality, and the moment they'd touched it, it had anchored itself to them. With each passing minute, the gravity of their situation grew. Ranveer knew the only way forward was to understand what they were dealing with. But how? The maze of marble walls and hidden chambers in the Taj seemed endless, and each corner they turned only deepened the mystery. They were outsiders, trespassers in a world that had been hidden for centuries, and no matter how many times Ranveer tried to laugh off the fear gnawing at his insides, he couldn't ignore the sense of something ancient, something far older than time itself, watching them. They encountered their first obstacle soon enough. Hidden passages in the Taj that defied logic, narrow staircases that led to nowhere, walls that shifted when touched, as if the entire monument was alive, breathing in rhythm with the earth. And yet, the deeper they ventured, the more they learned that the challenge wasn't physical, it was mental. Ranveer, for the first time in his life, felt out of control. The relentless energy he'd always relied on, his trademark confidence and charm, faltered. The monks had chosen him, yes, but they hadn't told him how to wield this new power. What did it mean to guard a portal? What were the dangers, and why had they waited so long to call upon him? Juhi, ever the skeptic, had grown more tense as they ventured deeper. She questioned everything. Why him? Was it all some grand manipulation, a test of belief? Her frustration grew into something darker, something that threatened to unravel the fragile trust between them, as she began to doubt whether they were truly meant for this mission or if they had simply stumbled into an ancient web they couldn't escape. As they navigated a series of cryptic symbols and rituals set by the monks, they encountered others, an unlikely ally in a scholarly historian, Dr. Veera, who had spent his life studying the hidden meanings within the Taj Mahal's architecture and believed the portal was part of a larger, cosmic balance. Someone who could translate the symbols and give them clues, but also someone whose motivations remained unclear. Was he merely helping, or did he have a hidden agenda? The more Ranveer and Juhi worked with him, the more they felt the tension of being part of something much bigger than they had ever imagined, and the deeper they dug, the more they realized that the portal was not merely a doorway to another place. It was a force that shaped reality itself. The stakes rose higher with each passing day. As they approached the chamber beneath the Taj, where the portal was said to be hidden, Ranveer found himself wrestling with a deeper, internal conflict. Could he truly protect the portal, or had he been chosen only as a pawn in a much larger game? The monks had warned him that the power of the portal could either save or destroy everything he held dear. His fame, his career, even his very sense of self. Juhi's fears were beginning to mirror his own, the weight of their task pressing on her too. They were no longer just facing a physical threat, but something that threatened to undo everything they knew about themselves. As the portal's presence began to reveal itself to them more clearly, Ranveer felt the first real hint of its power, a sudden flash of pure, unfiltered energy that cracked through his thoughts, leaving him with fragmented visions of possible futures, both wonderful and terrifying. He could see himself standing victorious, a hero, but also lying defeated, the world around him crumbling into dust. The overwhelming sense of responsibility, the sheer force of what they were facing, was beginning to drown him. But there was no turning back. With each step toward the heart of the Taj Mahal, the air thickened with questions and doubts, and Ranveer realized that there was no way to truly understand what was at stake, only that he had to be ready for whatever was coming. The mysteries grew deeper, and the dangers, both external and internal, became more pressing. The portal was waiting, and so was the destiny it promised, but the cost of guarding it would be far higher than they could ever have anticipated. The air around Ranveer and Juhi felt thick with inevitability as they stood at the precipice of what had become their journey's final moment. The deep rumble of ancient power beneath their feet was no longer just a whisper. It roared through the halls of the Taj Mahal like a beast awakening, and the two of them could feel the pressure building, as though the very stones of the monument were holding their breath. Dr. Veera had led them to the heart of the hidden chamber, the place where the portal had slumbered for centuries, its vast, swirling energy now fully awakened and hungry. The past days of cryptic riddles, shifting shadows, and fleeting glimpses into unknown realms had prepared them for this final confrontation, but nothing could have prepared Ranveer for the raw force that now pulsed before him. The monk's warnings echoed in his mind. This was not just a fight for control of the portal, but a battle for balance itself. They were no longer just guarding a door to another world. They were holding back a force that could tear apart the fabric of time and space, a force that could either uplift humanity or plunge it into darkness. Juhi, her skepticism giving way to a silent dread, stood. Beside him, her resolve stealing as she clutched the ancient scroll the monks had given them, its gold lettering now glowing faintly. Their resources, both physical and emotional, were limited, but they knew they had to use every ounce of strength they had. The history they'd uncovered, the knowledge passed down by Dr. Veera, and the strange, inexplicable connection Ranveer had begun to feel with the portal all pointed to one truth. The key to defeating the portal's dark power lay in its vulnerability. For all its strength, the portal could not exist without a balance of light and dark, creation and destruction. The key to neutralizing its influence was to find a way to harmonize the two forces, not destroy one or the other. But how? As Ranveer's mind raced, the force of the portal seemed to press down on them, filling the chamber with an oppressive energy that made his thoughts scatter. He felt an overwhelming sense of failure. Was he truly ready for this? Was he strong enough to stand against a power that had shaped reality for centuries? Juhi, sensing his doubts, stepped forward, her eyes fierce with determination, the fear she had felt earlier now replaced by a quiet strength. "We have to trust in what we've learned," she said, her voice steady but urgent. "We can't let it consume us." She was right. This wasn't just about power or fear. It was about understanding the delicate balance that had been entrusted to them. The monks had chosen them not because they were the strongest, but because they were willing to face the unknown. As Ranveer took a deep breath, his gaze falling on the swirling portal, he realized that the true strategy wasn't to fight it with force, but to embrace it, to find the harmony within themselves that would allow them to control it. The decision was clear now. He and Juhi would need to channel the energy of the portal, not by overpowering it, but by aligning themselves with it, using the knowledge they had gathered to form a connection that would bind them together with the power they were about to unleash. But as the final confrontation loomed, Ranveer couldn't shake the feeling that this would require more than just their courage. It would demand a sacrifice, one that neither of them were prepared to make. Still, there was no turning back now. Every step they had taken had led them to this threshold, and there was only one way forward, into the storm. The moment of truth arrived with an almost deafening silence, the kind that wraps itself around you, thick and suffocating, leaving only the sound of your own heartbeat in your ears. The air in the chamber beneath the Taj Mahal grew heavy with the swirling energy of the portal, its presence now fully manifested, twisting like a living thing in the center of the room. Ranveer and Juhi stood, their breaths shallow, facing a force they could not fully understand, but knew they had to control. There was no time for second-guessing. The portal was alive with the promise of chaos, a cosmic rift waiting to swallow everything in its path, and they were the only ones who could stop it. The stakes could not have been higher. The balance of the universe itself hung in the air like a fragile thread, and with every passing second, the pressure on their shoulders grew heavier. The world outside seemed so distant, as if it no longer mattered. The only thing that did was the portal, and the threat it posed. As Ranveer stepped forward, his pulse racing, the realization hit him. To close the portal, to restore the balance, he would have to make a sacrifice. His own life force, his very essence would have to merge with the portal to stabilize it. Juhi, her eyes wide with disbelief, tried to protest, but Ranveer could see it in her eyes too. The choice was inevitable and only one of them could make it. In that moment, their connection deepened, not just as companions on this strange journey, but as souls bound by destiny. Ranveer felt the surge of the portal's power flood his veins, its pulse syncing with his own heartbeat, and in that split second he understood its nature. The portal was not a force to be defeated, but a force to be balanced, and the only way to do that was to embrace its destructive potential without succumbing to it. As he placed his hand on the glowing energy, a flash of brilliance erupted from the core of the portal, sending a shockwave that rocked the very foundation of the Taj. His body shook as the energy drained from him, but it wasn't just his physical being that was pulled into the portal, it was his mind, his heart, everything that defined him, blending into the energy of the universe itself. The defining moment came when Ranveer felt the energy of the Taj Mahal itself reach out, responding to his will, merging with his essence, and in that instant, the portal stabilized. The swirling chaos began to dissipate, the air cleared, and the once violent force of the portal softened into a calm, steady hum. But it was not without Ranveer felt himself slipping away, his body collapsing as the energy of the portal had consumed him, his life force now entwined with the very fabric of existence. Juhi screamed, rushing to his side, but it was too late. With a final, bittersweet smile, Ranveer whispered his thanks for the journey they had shared, and for the chance to protect the world they had both known and loved. As his final breath left him, the portal sealed itself, its power now contained, its potential for destruction neutralized. In the aftermath, the world outside continued on, unaware of the battle that had just been waged beneath one of its most iconic monuments. Juhi, forever changed by the loss of her friend and the weight of the secret she now carried, returned to the world with a quiet resolve, knowing that she had witnessed something extraordinary, something that would never be fully understood, but that had altered the course of history in ways unimaginable. And as she walked away, she carried Ranveer's legacy within her, a reminder of the sacrifice made to protect the world. As for the Taj Mahal, it remained as timeless as ever, a monument not just to love, but now to the secret that had been hidden for centuries, its mystery forever guarded by the sacrifice of a man who had once sought fame, only to find a purpose far greater than he could have ever imagined. The world would never know, but Juhi would remember, and somewhere, deep within the ancient stone, the portal hummed quietly, its power waiting, forever contained but never truly gone. Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on future adventures.